Hello, thanks for checking out my review of Detroit, which just came out today. It was directed by Kathryn Bigelow, who's made movies like Point Break, which I thought was okay, Hurt Locker, which I liked a lot, and Zero Dark 30, which I pretty strongly disliked. Detroit is much better than Zero Dark 30. It's good, but not great, and if I had to put a number on it, I'd give it a 7 out of 10. My main problems with the movie were stylistic. The camera is almost always moving or zooming in, and the editing is pretty fast, with shots rarely lasting more than a couple seconds. And I get why this was done for certain scenes, like the riots, as it gives a documentary vibe and makes you feel like you're part of the chaos, but I just found it distracting and annoying. And this style is throughout the film, even in scenes that are just people talking. This is partly my own personal biases, as I'm generally more of a fan of long takes and more steady camera work, so this may be a your mileage may vary situation. It's really a shame because I liked everything else about the movie, and the cinematography and editing just keeps it from being one of the best of the year. The story is great. It's about the 1967 Detroit riots, but focuses on a specific incident at a motel where three black teenagers were killed. Definitely a story that needed to be told, and as far as I'm aware, there hasn't been a Hollywood film about the subject, so I applaud Bigelow for tackling such tricky subject matter that's highly relevant in today's society. The actors are all fantastic and really sell the intensity of the situation. John Boyega from Attack of the Block and The Force Awakens gives a subtle, effective performance, and the supporting cast that includes Anthony Mackie, Jacob Lattimore, and Hannah Murray, who plays Gilly on Game of Thrones, all do a good job. However, I'd like to single out Will Poulter, who gives a surprisingly intense portrayal of a scumbag racist cop. Many were skeptical that he could perform in a villainous role like this, given his relative youth and inexperience, but I think he clearly proved them wrong. He's probably going to be a contender for getting a supporting actor nomination this year. I personally don't see him winning, but I definitely think he's in the consideration for getting a nomination. The film starts out with a neat little semi-animated prologue that caught me by surprise. I wasn't expecting that, and gives some historical context to the riots. There's also archive footage of the real events sprinkled over the course of the movie, and this does a good job of reminding the audience that this all actually happened. Detroit is really intense and dramatic, and there is very little humor, and the humor that is there is far from laugh out loud jokes. Now, this isn't a bad thing, as the humor probably would have felt out of place considering the subject matter. Just keep this in mind going in, that you're not going into a lighthearted type of movie. I enjoyed the realistic dialogue, and I assume the script written by Mark Bowl, who also penned Bigelow's Zero Dark 30 and Hurt Locker, is clearly one of the film's strengths. The movie is pretty long at 2 hours and 23 minutes, but I personally wouldn't say it's too long. There are a few parts that could have been tightened up, but it generally moves at a pretty brisk pace, and I never felt bored, especially once the main plot comes into focus. As far as the score goes, I didn't notice it that often or have strong feelings one way or the other about it, as it was pretty unobtrusive. Detroit currently has an 89% on Rotten Tomatoes, with the average score being 7.6 out of 10, so I guess I'm not too far off from the critical consensus. Despite the movie's significant flaws, I would recommend checking it out in theaters. Well, that's all for this review. Thanks for listening, and I hope to have a review out soon for The Dark Tower.